As we move into an outcome-based world in the provider setting, it's more important than ever to rethink how to deliver care in more effective ways. Studies have shown there's a 20% higher risk of treatment of non-compliance among patients whose provider interface is poor versus providers who communicate empathetically. Shannan and Bryan are from ImproVision, a company that offers creative, improvisation-based training to help medical professionals build better rapport with patients and colleagues. Today, Shannan and Bryan will lead us through an exercise and show us the value of these tools in the healthcare setting. Please join me in welcoming Shannan and Bryan.
Is it on? Oh yeah, you guys can hear me. Hi everybody. Ooh, that's where we're starting, okay.
Yep.
All right, I know it's the afternoon, and I know that there's there's two things standing between you and wine. I understand where we are right now. And we will make it worth it for you guys. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. No, you're good.
Okay, great. So again, first of all, I do want to thank you guys for coming out on a Saturday and committing so much time to learning and growing, because you're the people who are pioneering change in your industry. So thank you so much for doing that. I also want to take a moment to thank the organizers of the conference. I think anybody who's ever done anything in the conference space knows how much work goes into hosting a fabulous event like this. And they're doing this in addition to their regular jobs. So please join me in giving them a hand. As was introduced, yes, we are doing something in the space of improvisation. My name is Shannan Scarselletta, and I'm the founder of ImproVision. We use improvisation-based training to build more powerful, more communicative, more agile and adaptive leaders. And we are here to talk to you today about how improvisation is used in the healthcare space to build happier doctors and healthier patients through more powerful communication. That's what we're here to do with you guys. And yes, that means you guys will be improvising. We're not doing it. So how many of you guys are improvisers? Just show. Interesting. You guys are all improvisers. Everybody should be raising their hands. You guys are all improvisers, because from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep at night, you are making stuff up. You are responding to the world around you to the top of your intelligence. Unpredictable moments are happening all the time. So we are all improvisers. Some of us just focus really hard on developing that skill, and that's what we're here today to help you with, is develop that skill so you can be in the moment and build better connections and more understanding with the people around you. That's what we're here to do. So I'm going to let Cruz take it from here and tell us a little bit. Cruz, can you talk to me a little bit about communication and healthcare today?
Yes, I can. Hi, I'm Bryan Cruz. I am an ER nurse of 11 years. So I give the healthcare perspective of ImproVision. So I don't know how many of you guys out there are nurses. I've been in the trenches with you guys. I have done it. If you've heard the ER stories, I'm there. Okay? So the state of communication right now is, well, I'm going to ask you guys some questions. So, kind of warm up your hands and be ready to answer. How many of you guys have had a patient, despite having years of that diagnosis, still not understand the basic information about their diagnosis?
And give it a clap.
Yeah.
I want to hear a clap from you guys. You guys are so low energy.
Yeah.
We're going to bring it up a little bit.
Cool. Okay, so that's a good amount of y'all. How many of you guys, as providers, have had a patient not give you the information you needed to care for them? Raise your hand, clap, make something.
And we're clapping for terrible things. That's tough, but
yes, these are all problems, right? When your patient doesn't give you the information that you need to care for them, how does that make you feel? I would like to hear words come out of your mouth. How does that make you feel? Cheated. It's frustrating, because we want to help them. We're there to help. That's why we got this job in healthcare. It's to be there for people, to help them, right? And yes, it's frustrating. Well, these lack of communication, these barriers that we're having, has actual consequences and results. Okay? So a study done in Boston, Massachusetts, of patients that were newly admitted stated that 55% of them felt like they did not receive adequate information from their providers. That's over half of the patients. They felt it. So it's, it's a feeling, it's validated for them, right? Another survey, and another really important information to know, is that a study shows that 40% of malpractice lawsuits come from patient-provider miscommunication. 40%. Can you, like, the money, like how much money could have been saved by just having better communication between two people? And remember that frustrated feeling that you have when you're trying to help your patients and they're not giving you the information that you need? That ties directly to burnout, to people quitting and leaving their job because of frustration and not being happy with what's being provided for them. And for the people that are hiring these people, that's a lot of money that you're pouring into to hire these new people to come keep working for you. ER nursing, or ER, just working in the ER, has the highest burnout rate in all the departments of healthcare. So who better to talk about burnout than the ER nurse, right? And so this problem's only getting worse, right? With HCAHPS being the reason that we get reimbursed based on patient satisfaction. If they're not satisfied, you're not going to get reimbursed with much. And the generation of those kids, the tablet generation, the ones raised on their phones, on their tablets, they don't know how to hold a conversation. They don't know how to shake your hand because that's how they were raised. Those are going to be your coworkers. And those are going to be your patients. And they don't know how to communicate. So that's a problem too. The current solution that we have right now is, training like ADET, right? Have anyone done ADET or have any idea what ADET is? It's basically scripted training about, acknowledge, introduce, duration, explanation, and thanking them. Basically, it's scripted training on how to be a better healthcare worker to connect with your patients, right? I knew all of those. I'm a good nurse. Okay. But the problem with that is it's scripted. How often do the problems that arise for you not be something they could deal with scripted? Right? Example, I had a patient that came up to me that said they were lost in time. I have no script for that. I don't know if you guys do. I would love to hear. So, ImproVision's solution to healthier patients, happier doctors, and world-class care is communication training based on improvisation, or improv comedy.
Sounds fun, right?
Yep.
I'll also tell you guys, I don't think this has come up yet. Both Cruz and I are professional improvisers,
Oh, yeah.
so we feed off your energy so hard. So really just like throw things at us. I tell you, you are not going to throw us off. So just jumping on that, in understanding improv, what do you guys think of when you think of improv comedy? Funny. Hit me.
Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady. That's
Somebody's right ahead.
Heard Wayne Brady back there?
Wayne Brady, yes. His line is it anyway. Tina Fey, Steve Carell, right? Pretty much anyone who's come up through comedy in the last 20 years, all of your favorite people. All of your favorite comedians are improvisers. That is a real thing. But we are not trying to make you comedians. That is not what we're doing. Improvisation, when you see it live, is it looks like a play, or if you watch Whose Line, like little games, made up entirely on the spot. When Cruz and I perform together, we will put on a 15 to 30-minute show that we have no idea what's going to happen at the beginning of it. The real core of it, though, what's at the heart of improvisation, is creating and connecting together to create something in absence of perfect information. So creating together an absence of perfect information. Can I just have some examples of where you guys improvise at work?
During the interview.
Difficult client.
Oh, what is that back there?
During the interview.
During the interview. Yeah.
That's a big one. Anybody else? Oh, you guys do it all the time. It doesn't even have to.
Go ahead, just shout it.
Ideating, brainstorming, solutions.
Yes, brainstorming is a big moment. If you're at all interested in design thinking, the first 2 phases of design thinking are improvisation. Anybody else? Anybody else? Y'all are going for the hard stuff. Even meeting new people, meeting new patients, dealing with crazy that is coming out from the people around us. We are improvising all the time. Dealing with the unexpected, conflict resolution with our colleagues, with patients. Improvisation is a core skill you use all the time. And what does improvisation, and we're not the only ones teaching this, by the way. This is a burgeoning skill set in the healthcare space specifically. There's healthcare providers and schools that are using training based in improvisation to develop their people so that they can better connect with patients and colleagues and build, like the last conversation, build trust. Because compliance goes up when they trust you. Beyond the space of healthcare, cultural innovators across every industry and every function are using improvisation to build better communicators. Google, Disney, great place to work. I was just working with a consulting company yesterday. This is a very powerful tool. And why? So why? Part of it is because it's changing, or the way we communicate is changing. And improv teaches us, and it teaches us communication skills in an environment that is disruptive. Rather than scripted, you are practicing communication skills in the place that simulates the craziness and chaos and unpredictability of your everyday life. And what you're really practicing is what we call at ImproVision adaptive communication. That is listening and responding in kind to the information that is presented to you, both verbal and nonverbal. That is hard. I will tell you this is hard. This is an improviser's bread and butter, but how many of you guys have talked to people who you're just staring at them and you're like, they're waiting for their moment to talk. They're not listening at all. Hands? Yeah, we've all been to a party. People are waiting for their moment to talk. People who talk over you. People who ignore the questions you ask them because they're more comfortable being in control and answering the question, the answer they have prepared, right? These are all things we've experienced. What's behind that is control. This fear of the unpredictable that we all deal with, that everybody has a little bit of. So adaptive communication pushes you outside of that. And improvisers have a specific technique. I heard you guys stand over there. Somebody's taking an improv class or listen to a podcast. Improvisers use a specific technique called yes and to make sure that we're really listening, empathizing with, and building upon the information given to us. Can I have a volunteer from the front? I'm just going to come in. You're looking at me.
Yeah, give him a hand.
Cameron, this is Cameron. Cameron's going to say anything to me. Thank you so much for doing this. He's going to say anything to me that is any line of dialogue that is just not a question. Anything you want.
Really sunny out today.
It's not sunny. It's so cloudy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, and it's also very windy outside.
There's no wind. It's literally there's no atmosphere. We're on Mars.
I've never been to space before, so this is very interesting.
You took me here. What are you talking about? Yeah, right? This is so hard. Give it up for Cameron. Thank you so much. That is called no butting, and it is painful. How'd that feel for everybody else to watch? Ooh, so uncomfortable. How'd that feel for you, Cameron? Not great. How do you feel about me? It's okay. How do you feel about me when we're in that? Yes, right. I made his life very difficult. So saying no but to Cameron kept me in control of the conversation. I got to pick that it's not sunny outside. I got to pick that there's no atmosphere. I got to pick that we're on Mars. So I get control. What I don't get, and what he doesn't get, is connection trust, collaboration, and forward momentum. We're stopped. Nobody knows what's going on. He doesn't want to work with me anymore. I mean, I hope you do. We'll improvise later, it'll be great. But he doesn't want to work with me anymore. It stops relationships dead in their tracks. So yes and allows us to build trust, which is so important in that patient-doctor or doctor-doctor or staff-staff, administrator-administrator relationship. That allows us to be creative together. That allows us to build ideas and build collaborative care together. So Cruz is going to take you through an exercise to use yes and.
Cool. So we're not going to call you guys up on stage, but you guys are going to do a game together in your groups. So you have your table, or if you have a small table, you can try to look at the people around you. And we're going to play a game called Great Party Last Night. Okay? And the purpose of it is you guys are going to talk about a party that you were at last night, and you're going to basically just reminisce about it together. Okay? So because you were all at the party last night, everything that you say is true, everything that the person next to you is true, you don't have any questions because you all know what happened, and you can just have fun with it, right? So it starts with great party last night, and here's the catch. Before you speak or before you add to it, you have to say yes and. You have to think it, then you have to say it, because you have to add on and to build together to talk about the party last night. Example, Shannan, great party last night.
Yes, and man, the booze was flowing. There was a pool just full of Cavassier.
Yes, and the world's most interesting man showed up.
Yes, and he had a parrot that just spoke fluent French.
Right. So that's how it's done, and
Doesn't have to be like that.
it doesn't have to be like that. But the thing is, just have fun with it. Go as far as the moon. You can be as imaginative as you want to be. You can be as absurd as you want to be. Because the thing is, right after you say something, what is that person who's gonna talk after you gonna say? Yes, and. Cool. And then this is how we end it is, and then the cops showed up.
The cops are going to show up.
The cops are going to show up, so it has to go somewhere for the cops to show up, and you guys will find that ending together. We're going to give you all 3 to 4 minutes, and then we're going to check back in. Cool? Yay! Yeah, take it off. Great, let's
Are really getting crazy. Great. We're there, awesome. I'm gonna ask you a few questions about that. How did that feel? Hilarious? Was that hard for anyone? Or was that hard for any reason? No? Great. If it was hard, thank you, what was hard about it for people?
Trying to come up with a response that went with the story, but at the same time didn't.
Yes, exactly. Not just yesing someone, but anding them too. So thinking on your feet spontaneously. Yep, anything else that made that challenging? What is the skill we're primarily using? The first skill we're using? Listening. 100%. We are teaching listening-based communication. Now, so we're listening, and we are thinking on our feet. We have to be in the moment. We are just trying to think of something creative. What helps us in that moment? What is helping us in this exercise? Connecting, and the response, and what is the response all the time? Yes, and. Et cetera, et cetera. Yes, et cetera, the other version of yes, and. Having the people around you support you and have your back allows you to take bigger risks and connect with them. So that's what we want you to take from this, is that's what yes and is. And I will tell you from our side, did you guys feel the energy shift in the room? What the difference is between working with people who are like no but, and you're like, I feel so unsafe around you. You're gonna shut me down all the time, and I don't even want to give you my ideas. To the energy that is created by a group of people just simply yes-anding each other. That is a shift in the room.
That was the first time I saw everyone smile at each other, which is great. Maybe we should start with that.
Yeah.
Start with it.
So anyway, this is yes and this is what we're teaching, and this is the key tool I'd love for you guys to bring forward, because yes and creates a space of for people to be honest and authentic with you, so that if you are working with a patient, it builds fast trust. We're all working with a small period of time, so it builds fast trust to use the rule of agreement with the patient. And beyond that, it creates collaborative care. It creates a collaborative solution. This is just, I love this about doctors and physicians and how they're constantly needing to improvise, going off script so you can truly hear and identify the challenges that are facing your patient or your colleague or your boss or the person who is reporting to you. So I'm going to let Cruz take us through how we can use this in the healthcare space.
Yeah, collaborating with the healthcare team to achieve a seamless care plan. When treating a patient, you're not treating them by yourself. You have to talk to other doctors, your nurses, your radiologists. You guys are working together, and that help of just collaborating, working together, knowing that like your ideas may not necessarily get shut down, but at least it gives an open dialogue for everyone. De-escalating conflict with colleagues, patients, and families. That can be the stress of everything, of just de-escalation and just learning how to talk and listen, and actually listen to people's problems before just shutting them down, and to even be a more likable person, you know? And building rapport with new patients in a short period of time. It's so hard to, you don't have all the time in the world with your patients, and even the people that you work with. But if you have this attitude, and there's a culture of this attitude of just being positive and working together, it benefits you.
They're very, just to summarize it, in the space of healthcare, even if you're not directly working with patients, even if you have colleagues, I talked to a few people in medical devices, which means sales, which means this is very helpful. If you're in a consulting space, using this creates trust on which you can build collaborative solutions that increase compliance so you get healthier patients, that increases retention and comfort at work. There's a lot of research that shows that the number one way to decrease burnout is to promote support and collaboration at work. This is in healthcare. and happier administrators, because by building trust and connection with our patients, we drastically reduce our exposure to malpractice. So here's my question to leave with you guys. How can you start to instill this yes and mentality? It doesn't have to be literal, you don't have to play this game, though you can, at your organization. How can you start to build